Yeah, no, I'm an independent. You're right about that. You assume because I don't vote for an adjudicated rapist felon that I must be a Democrat. No, unlike you, I'm an intelligent person.
I want to be transparent. I'm a Republican. I don't consider myself MAGA. I would prefer not to have Donald Trump as president, but his majority of his policies versus the Democrats are how I personally feel.
So give me an example. Can you give me an example of that?
The border. I mean, the border is a big thing.
Well, the border is not really a policy. Can you like specifically?
Well, policy. Okay, I'm sorry. The law, enforcing the law. How about that?
So what about? So let's talk about that. Fair enough. And I'm not saying Joe Biden did a great job on the border, but are you okay with people being separated from their families, sent to El Salvador prisons without due process? Is that because that's part of it? His immigration policy. Are you okay with that?
You know what? And this is just me. And you know what, Brian? And here's the thing. I'm a Republican. You know, I love speaking to Democrats because I respect anybody's opinion. I don't like calling people names, and that's fine if you do. That's your choice.
Did you vote for Donald Trump? Did you vote for Donald Trump?
I did.
Then why would you vote for a guy that calls everybody names that he disagrees with? Then if you don't like calling people names.
I agree more with his policies.
Okay, so you don't mind if somebody. So you don't mind if somebody is an adjudicated rapist or a 34-count felon that calls people names because you might like a few of his policies. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yeah, I didn't vote for the man. I voted for.
You didn't vote for the man. So what is your threshold? If somebody rapes children, you would still vote for them if you liked some of their policies. I'm just wondering where your bar is. That's all I'm asking.
No, I wouldn't. You're going down a dark path.
No. I'm not going down a dark path. I'm going down a factual path. He's a 34-count felon and an adjudicated rapist. This is a dark path.
And you voted for him.
You voted for him, so now you have to own it. I want to know where your bar is. I want to know where your bar is. Can somebody just go into teenage locker rooms that are 15 and 16-year-old girls? They can be a rapist and they could be a 34-count felon, but if you like a few of their policies, you're okay with that. That's what you're saying, right, sir?
So let's talk about going into girls' locker rooms.
Sure.
So your policy to let a trans man or whatever, if they feel like being
you're comparing a trans man. Hold on a second. What's your policy? What's the policy? Yeah, what's the policy of a trans man? Tell me, what's that policy?
What is a man? Can you define a man?
Okay, so you want me to define a man? Hold on. I will in a moment. But you asked me to define what a man is in replacement of you voting for a guy who openly bragged about going into girls' locker rooms, watching a bunch of 15 and 16-year-old girls changing, which makes you an idiot. And if you don't like me calling you an idiot, okay, it's too bad. But I'll answer your question. Shut up and I'll answer your question. Shut up and I'll answer your question, dumbass. I believe that you're a man when you're born a man. I believe you're a woman when you're born a woman. But guess what? I wouldn't vote for somebody who went into the opposite sex's locker rooms bragging sexually about looking at a bunch of 14 and 15-year-old girls naked as the guy who you voted for did on the Donald Trump did on the Howard Stern show.
And he bragged about grabbing lady parts. He bragged about forcibly kissing women when they didn't want to be kissed.
But you like a couple of his policies. This is what you voted for. Right, sir? You like a couple of his policies, though, right, sir? So that makes it okay.
You're not winning over people to your party the way you're
not my party. I'm not even. Hey, dumbass. Hey, what party am I in, dummy? What party am I in?
You're in your. You know what? You're probably in your own party.
Yeah, no, I'm an independent. You're right about that. You assume because I don't vote for an adjudicated rapist felon that I must be a Democrat. No, unlike you, I'm an intelligent person with a moral compass. I don't like voting for rapists. I don't like voting for people that are felons, sir. So no, I'm not a Democrat. I'm a registered independent that didn't vote for Obama or Hillary, and you don't know how to form an opinion or an argument. So you just go with, oh, you must be a Democrat. Sir, I really hope you have a nice 4th of July, and I hope nobody goes into any of your daughter's locker rooms. But if they do, I'll make sure to somebody that would vote for them and then say, I like a few of his policies. Sir, do you realize how ridiculous you sound? Really? I don't know how old your daughters are, but I would imagine down the road they'll probably say, Dad, how the hell did you vote?
I hope they're not embarrassed.
How the hell did you vote for this racist piece of human garbage?
Let me tell you what I tell them. Oh, nothing much. I just wanted to say something about the NATO alliance. Their GDP for NATO was 2% of GDP. An agreement committed to spending 3.5% of GDP on a core defense and another 1.5% on border security related. That adds up to 5%. 2 from 5, I think, is 3.
Yeah, it is.
Well, they just increased it to 5%. However, not for all nations. It was for the most prominent nations.
Correct. Lauren, what do you make of the fact that the Trump administration decided to end or not even start, but cancel a briefing with members of Congress, not allowing elected officials to know what's going on, and not being transparent with the American people on how successful or unsuccessful this military attack was on Iran? What do you make of that?
As I understand, the meeting actually did include leaders from both sides, except for one leader on the Democratic side was not invited to come in.
Yeah, but why did they cancel it a minute before? Why?
Well, I have no idea. I mean,
I know
I work for the president.
Okay, why? Okay, why? Come on, Lauren. Why do you think they would do that? This intelligence report.
Why would he have if it was? Why would he have a Democrat come in? Well, one of the leaders in the Congress or the Senate. Why would he have a Democrat come in if he was trying to hide something from somebody?
They canceled the meeting, Lauren.
Both parties were there. Democrats and Republicans were both at this meeting.
Why would they cancel the meeting? I'm the one who was asking you the question. Our own intelligence has told us through a leaked report that this was not as successful as Donald Trump would like you to believe. And then literally a minute before the meeting, they decide to cancel it.
Because they didn't want to answer questions.
And you can't say to yourself, geez, maybe they're hiding something from the American people. You think that's a stretch?
Do I think? Well, having worked in the intelligence field when I was in the military, I mean, there are reasons why. We don't always know what the reasons are.
Can you remember the last time that we attacked another country and then a minute before a briefing, the administration canceled it? Can you tell me, since you
not a minute before,
right? Because it hasn't
been done in the past. It most definitely has.
When did that happen? In the Obama administration? Did that happen in the Biden administration?
Who do you think did the Arab Spring?
I just asked you a question, Lauren. I don't know why.
That was President Obama's administration.
Okay,
that was a regime change that they wanted to change.
Did they cancel a briefing with members of Congress 1 minute?
No,
before?
They just didn't have anything to do with it because they did it as a covert activity.
Okay, but that wasn't my question. And what I'm trying to ask you, and I'm trying to remain on topic here, is they canceled a briefing with Congress a minute before. We have part of a report.
I'm sure that I am sure it's happened. If I did some research, I'm sure I could probably come up
I think they were hiding something, Lauren. Weren't
they
hiding something?
Lauren, can it be possible that this intelligence report...
If you're depending on what your like or dislike of policies of whoever
No. I'm depending on our... No, I'm not...
By facts.
No, I'm depending on our own intelligence, Lauren. And the report that was leaked that came out, the partial report that was leaked that came out that said maybe a month or two, we put Iran behind on their nuclear capabilities. We're going by our own, and I'm going by our own intelligence, and Donald Trump is going by Iran and what Israel say. Are you okay with that, Lauren?
Well, according to Kelsey Gabbard, she said that she's had a difference of opinion now.
Geez, I wonder why. I wonder why that is.
She's in a lot of trouble.
I wonder why. I mean,
I wonder why. So for the last 30
we live in a
So for the last 30 years, we've been told about this. Tulsi Gabbard testifies under oath in March that they see no reason to believe, based on our own intelligence, that they're furthering their nuclear capabilities. Donald Trump decides to pull the trigger and listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, and now all of a sudden, Tulsi Gabbard has changed her mind. But I'm sure that's very accurate, Lauren. You can't possibly be that naive.
Okay, I mean...
Are you that naive?
When we've had intelligence breaches, things have changed on a dime.
That's not
when
true.
Code word material
depends on what you're talking
things
about.
are
That's
changed
not accurate.
on a dime.
That's not accurate.
What's that?
That
What's
is not accurate.
accurate.
It depends on which intelligence that was
How do
penetrated.
you know?
You got to be specific, because she
What
clearly
intelligence field
Netanyahu in
did
1996
you
was
in?
saying the same thing. In 1996, he was saying that it's going to be a few weeks or months and possibly a year. In 2002, in 2005, in 2011, he's been saying for 30 years that it's a couple of months away. And then Gabbard testifies and says, well, no, it's not enriched uranium beyond It's not doesn't have nuclear capabilities. They don't have the warheads yet. They don't have the ballistic missiles, and the centrifuges are not connected yet. And so they went against that. But what I think Brian is asking is why would you not believe what Tulsi Gabbard said?
Why would you not believe our own intelligence in what was leaked already in regards to this attack? Why is it, Lauren, you're always defending the Trump administration? You never call into
I'm not trying to defend the Trump. I didn't defend any administration.
Yes, you did.
I
Yes, you
pointed
are.
out.
You always want to attack Barack Obama when you call into this show.
Did I not point? Oh, that's insanity, Brian.
Oh, really? Okay, I've never heard you
I
implement
pointed out. I mentioned both Obama and I mentioned Trump.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You
Both
don't think there are any?
One's a Republican, the other one's a Democrat.
Lauren, let's review. In this one phone call, you have just said that you don't have a problem with, and there could be very reasonable, excuses, for lack of a better term, why they canceled 1 minute before this briefing with the Congress. You also seem to have no problem with the fact that our own intelligence from the reports that we have seen are telling us that the strikes over the weekend were not as effective as what Donald Trump and his administration are saying. And you seem to be defending that and excusing it. Can it just be a fact, Lauren, and most likely that this attack was not as successful as Donald Trump is claiming it to be, that we should have not gotten involved in another ill-advised war, in my opinion, and now the U.S. is more in danger now than it was a week ago? Can't that be possible, that the guy who you support is lying to us about how successful this is?
Possible, Brian. All things are possible.
So give me a legitimate reason.
That's a dismissal.
Yeah, it's very dismissive. Give me one legitimate reason why you think they...
No, that's a fact. All things are possible.
Is it possible that Donald Trump won the 2020 election in a landslide?
Well, obviously not.
Okay, well, I guess all things aren't possible then, because the guy who you voted for still says he won the 2020 election, which means he's a liar.
How do you know I voted for him?
Lauren,
that would be my guess.
Lauren, I know you didn't vote for Kamala Harris,
Well,
so let's stop playing games.
I'm sure Leonard would think anything negative about me.
Hey, I'm allowed to issue a guess.
No,
it's just a guess.
Lauren, there is zero chance. You're talking to me now. 0% that you voted for Kamala Harris. Okay, 0%. So let's stop playing games with each other. Okay.
Why? I have 4 black daughters. Why wouldn't I vote for Kamala Harris?
I don't care how many black daughters you have. You did not vote for Kamala Harris. Okay, let's stop playing games with each other. Okay. Well, don't be a coward then. Tell me who you voted for.
It must be a
voted
secret.
for Trump.
Okay, thank you. So stop playing games with me and stop the BS. Brian, you don't know who I voted for. Brian, I have 4 black daughters.
I'm just a good guesser.
And by the way, that makes, in my personal opinion, that's embarrassing that you have 4 black daughters in your family and you voted for Donald Trump, who's hired basically no black people in his administration, who once said that he didn't want black people counting his money in casinos, but he wanted Jews counting his money.
And would not refuse the endorsement of the KKK.
His own father was arrested at a Klan rally, and you're bragging about how you have 4 black daughters and you voted for Donald Trump.
I'm not bragging about anything. I'm simply stating facts.
Well, you know what? I don't know how old your daughters are, but I would imagine down the road they'll probably say, Dad, how the hell did you vote?
They're not embarrassed.
How the hell did you vote for this racist piece of human garbage?
Let me tell you what I tell them. I said, if you're going to participate in our democracy, you need to vote. Whoever you vote for, that's your business.
So you care about our democracy.
I think he meant dictatorship.
Or how your mother views it.
Okay, so Lauren, let's comment about that. So based on that statement that you are saying, and I'm going to take that what you're saying is you believe it, you care about our democracy, right? You're talking to your daughters about our democracy, and that's a sacred thing to you, right, Lauren?
Well, I have 4 black sons as well.
I'm not asking you the color.
I'm talking to all of my children.
Okay, forget about the color of your children for a moment. Listen to my question.
It always seems to be a color thing.
Lauren,
you're a racist.
Lauren, I have never said that if you're a Republican, you're racist, so stop your BS right now and answer my question.
I'll say it. A lot of them are.
You care about, Lauren.
Leonard, why don't you play with yourself?
Lauren, I need you to focus, Lauren, okay? If anybody's playing with themselves, it's you to Donald Trump's poster in your bedroom. But let's stick to facts, okay? Lauren, Lauren, you're the one who just made this statement about him. So be quiet and listen to my question. You just said you care about our democracy, correct? That's a sacred thing for you, right, Lauren?
I care about the country. I do.
Okay, you care about our democracy. Is that a fair statement to make? Why do I have to ask you the same question 8 times? Just answer it. Do you care about our democracy?
It hasn't been asked 8 times.
Yes or no? Do you care about our democracy? It's sacred to you.
Of course I
Okay,
do.
good. Thank you. Then what do you think about what took place on January 6th? What do you think about you voting for the guy who still hasn't
That's got
conceded?
nothing to do with what
Yes,
we're
it does. It
talking
has.
about, Brian.
No. Don't you deflect.
has
Don't you
nothing
deflect.
to
It has.
do with what
Don't
we're
you
talking
deflect.
about.
It has everything to do with our democracy.
No, you're the one deflecting.
Pod this idiot down. And I don't care how many black children you had, okay? God. First of all, there's a reason why I bring this up, Lauren, and maybe you're not smart enough to understand the argument that I'm trying to make here. You claim that you care about our democracy, yet you support a guy who rips up our Constitution, who literally continues to say that the 2020 election was rigged. There was a fake electorate scheme all over the country. Some people are in jail because of it. And he's the one who asked for a certain number of votes. We know that. We have it on audio. He is a threat to our democracy. He continues to be a threat to our democracy. Yet how can you sit here on a phone and say you actually care about our democracy? How can you do that? You are contradicting yourself. That's what you are doing, Lauren.
Am I back on? Am I back on?
If you're going to make an intelligent point, yes.
Oh, well, Leonard, you're the only one that makes intelligence, you know.
No, I'm not the only one.
Lauren,
Brian's cleaning your clock.
Lauren,
go ahead.
You just said you
well,
care.
Actually, Leonard, you put out.
Stop talking to Leonard. I asked you a question. Answer it, you bozo.
Sorry.
You said you care about our democracy, and I don't care if you have 50 black kids. I don't care what the color of their skin is. You told your kids how much you care about our democracy, yet you voted for the guy who was in office who did not concede, the only president in American history, while they were screaming, hang Mike Pence. And there was a fake electorate scheme all over the country. And you want to sit here and you want to tell me you care about our democracy when you voted for an adjudicated rapist, 34-count felon, who you know was partially responsible for January 6th. It doesn't happen if Donald Trump wasn't in office.
Since the 80s.
Why don't you admit, Lauren, that at a minimum, you are a freaking hypocrite?
I have a long list of things that the previous administration didn't do.
Oh, really? Was there?
the whataboutism?
Okay, hold on. There goes the whataboutism from Lauren.
What about Biden? What about Hunter Biden's
Lauren,
laptop?
Hey, Lauren, was there an insurrection when Biden was president?
The bad boy.
Hey, Lauren, answer my question. Was there an insurrection when Joe Biden was president?
Did he pardon 1,500 criminals?
Yeah. Did he pardon people that beat police officers?
Yeah, there was an insurrection.
Oh, you're an idiot, Lauren. You are a complete idiot. You really are, Lauren. And I'm saying that I'm trying to be really nice here. But Lauren, every single time I bring up Donald Trump and you say you care about our democracy, and then I give you examples of how Donald Trump is ripping apart our democracy, you want to bring up Joe Biden. There wasn't an insurrection. Democrats didn't storm the Capitol, and 140 officers weren't injured. I don't recall a Democrat that was president.
Does he know the definition of insurrection?
Of course he doesn't. I don't recall a Democrat president that pardoned a bunch of people who beat cops and were convicted of seditious conspiracy. But you want to tell us that you care about democracy when you voted for Donald Trump, and then you try to play a stupid game with me? Well, I have 4 black kids, so you don't know who I voted for. Oh, no. You have 4 black kids. If anything, that should have given you more reason to not vote for Donald Trump.
Do you feel like you voted for a racist? Do you feel like you voted? I mean, since the 80s, they have well documented that Donald Trump refused to rent to minorities. And then there was the Central Park 5, and there was on and on. And so when you say you have 7 black children, are you really representing them properly as a dad?
Are you representing, Lauren, your black kids?
Of course I am.
You are? By voting for Trump? That's representing them? That's being proud of your children, proud of their legacy, proud of what they've done with their lives and what they continue to do by voting for someone who would not turn down the support of the KKK. David, I forget David's last name from the KKK, but
David Duke.
Yeah, David Duke. He refused to refuse the endorsement. And that says a lot.
On all this stuff. As far as
These are the people who vote for Donald Trump. Did you hear that, guy? These are the people, Leonard, who vote for Donald Trump.
I totally agree with you that guy should be on death row. That guy is a monster.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about Donald Trump?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm talking about the guy.
Okay.
I'm talking about the guy who killed all those girls. I know that you.
Well,
we agree. Would put him on death row too.
We agree on that. We agree on that. Al, what about over 10 million people that could lose their medical benefits? Do they deserve to be on death row too?
I don't know. Well, I don't know if they're going to be on death row, but that's a very interesting perspective. I got to look at all the data. Some of those people, if you can work, you can't work and you're living off the system, and
Al,
those people have been targeted and identified, they should go to get a job.
Al, let me give you some stats, Al. 30% of people that are working, 30% of people right now that are working are not offered health care benefits, and half of those people can't afford it. So that totally extinguishes that argument that you just made. There are millions of people in this country that are working that need those medical benefits. Al, what would you say to them?
The millions of people that need them, yeah, those they should. If you definitely need them and you can't work and you can't,
no. Forget about even people that can't work. Did you listen to my stats? There are people that are working, and for people that are working, 30% of those people are not offered health care benefits, and at least half of them can't afford it. Al, how could you be okay with this bill? How could you be okay with it?
I gotta look. Well, you know what? I haven't.
What do you have to look at?
Politics.
Well, Al, what do you have to look at? Are you saying my stats aren't correct? Because I'll make a bet with anybody they are.
I'm not saying that. No.
So what do you have to? Why can't you just say it's wrong?
I'm just saying that I got to look at it closer.
What do you mean you have to look at it?
Does he have medical coverage?
If you can work.
What do you mean you have to look at it closer? Even Republicans are admitting that at least 10 million people are going to lose their medical benefits. Why do you keep saying you have to look at it closer? If I told you the earth was round, would you say, well, I have to look at that closer? It's in the bill.
You might.
Yeah, no. Well, the thing is that some of those people, I think, are definitely can't get health care. Not most of them, but some of them can't get health care, and they should look into it. But
Al,
I really called about the other one. I called about putting the people on death row.
I understand that, Al. I understand that, Al. I understand we agree on that issue. But why is it that you don't want to talk about the details in this bill? Why is it most Republicans can't defend it?
Because I haven't really looked at it. I haven't looked at it, but I know a lot of freeloaders out there.
You haven't looked at it. You haven't looked at it. Did you look at Hunter Biden's laptop, though? Did you look at that? Didn't affect anybody. Yeah. I'm shocked. So hold on. Let me get this right. You took a look at Hunter Biden's laptop, which literally didn't affect anybody but Hunter Biden. But you haven't taken a look at this bill where over 10 million Americans are going to lose their medical. Al,
that was a joke. I haven't.
You think it's a joke? You think this is
like
funny?
The president, right? When he was joking.
You think it's funny
when
that
he said he would solve the war in 24 hours?
You think it's funny that over 10 million people are going to lose their medical benefits, and so many of these people, including children, are going to lose food benefits? You think that's funny?
No, I think it's funny that what I was trying to say was that I did not look at Hunter's laptop. That's what I thought.
Oh, so I'm sure you never called any conservative radio shows concerned about Hunter Biden's laptop. Is that what you're saying, Al? Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't think I did
BS.
That. No, I never did
BS.
that.
I don't believe you. I think you're lying to me just like Donald Trump. I believe you care more about Hunter Biden's laptop than you do this bill where over 10 million people would lose their medical coverage. So what does that make you, Al?
A MAGA?
I don't know. I'm not a MAGA. It makes me
you sound like
person
one.
who called in about who agrees with.
No, it makes you a person who calls in who deflects and is not able to defend your 34-count felon liable abuser. That's what it makes you. It makes you somebody who doesn't.
Lawyer. I mean, I'm not.
You don't have to be a lawyer to have. Guess what, Al? You don't have. You don't have to be a lawyer to have compassion. And you're laughing about a topic when over 10 million people could lose their health care coverage, and you keep saying, "Well, I guess I have to look into that." Al, you're not a serious person.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, I only called in.
Yeah.
I always try to stay on point. You know me.
Yeah. No. You don't always try to. You don't always try and stay on point. You always try to deflect and defend the orange orangutan. Have a nice day.
I don't even think he understood how Medicaid works. That's not how Medicaid works.
These are the people who vote for Donald Trump. Did you hear that guy? These are the people, Leonard, who vote for Donald Trump. They claim they don't know what the hell is in the bill. Maybe Al's that ill-informed. I guess it's possible. But he cares more about Hunter Biden's laptop and drag queens than he does the fact that over 10 million people could lose their benefits.
I think what he was trying to say is if you don't get medical benefits, oh, well, you could go work and get a job. But what a lot of people are not bringing out is that when you're on Medicaid, there's an issue. Okay. So if you had a work requirement to a program that is mostly disabled people who can't work anywhere, too old, mostly too old, then you're basically saying we're taking it away from you. And he seemed to be okay with that because, they should be working anyway.
Oh my God. And Leonard, they're so stupid. They don't.
It made no sense.
They don't understand that 30% of people that are working, they're not even offered a health care plan, and half those people can't afford it.
Healthcare is very, very expensive.
You notice how he just doesn't. It doesn't even register his
because
brain.
It's talking points.
It's
Brian.
so stupid.
He woke up this morning.
Stupid.
He saw a couple of talking points on News Nation or Fox News, and he said, "I'm gonna call in and I'm gonna tell them that it's okay with me that if people don't have this medical coverage."
Yeah.
And then you're trying to tell him, but the people who are working, your premise makes no sense. The people who are working are still not able to afford it.